Good morning, second graders. It's good to see everyone today. Something's different. Oh, hi there. I'm out here at school on Tuesday, and I'm waiting for some people to come pick up their work for the upcoming weeks. So I thought I would take the time to read you today's story. And work with a few things that you need to do that will really help you. So if you remember, this week's themes of stories that we're going to be reading are sports that I never played that I wish I could learn a little bit more about. Day 1, we talked about soccer. Day 2, we talked about the sport of cricket. Today we're talking about a sport that I love watching on TV, that I wish I could do, and it's something that maybe some of you out there actually have tried this before, and that is called gymnastics. Now, when I think of gymnastics, I think of the Olympics. Now, this is going to be the first year that we're not going to have an Olympics. As we know, every 4 years we have an Olympics, and we were supposed to have our Olympics this year, but because of the current situation, we're not going to have it. So it's got me missing a little bit gymnastics and the other events that take place during the Olympics. So if you would, go ahead and log on to readworks.org with me, or if you have the packet, this is the 4th story that's in the packet. I misstapled, but you'll see today's date, 4/22, on it. All right. The title of the story is called, Gymnastics. And the first thing that I notice before I even start reading are the pictures. There are some really cool pictures of people doing amazing things that I could even only dream about doing. When I think of gymnastics, I think of flexibility. And though I'm flexible with my time, I'm flexible with some work, when it comes to being flexible in other ways, I just can't bend that way. So let's learn a little bit more about gymnastics. Paragraph 1. Imagine a sport with athletes who bend their bodies like clay. One with people who flip and twist through the air. One where athletes have to prove their strength and their artistic sense at the same time. So the one question I have from that paragraph is, what is artistic sense? I know what it means to be artistic. Artistic means you're good at art. Now, when you think of art, I think painting, drawing, sculpting, things like that. Is that what they're talking about here? That's a good question. I think what they're talking about here is not artistic as far as painting or sculpting or drawing, but artistic like dancing. You have to be able, when you're a dancer, you have to be able to move your body in a certain way, and that is that form of art. So I think that's what they're meaning. So they have to use your strength, which is your muscles, and your artistic sense. Putting those together, you got to have some sort of balance in order to do gymnastics. Paragraph 2. That sport exists. It's gymnastics. Athletes who do this sport are called gymnasts. Gymnastics is a very old sport. Ancient Greeks did it thousands of years ago. Now I'm going to stop there for a second. When I think of ancient Greeks, I know I've heard that before. I wonder what they're talking about, ancient Greeks. The best thing I can think of is that they're talking about someone from Greece. Now, the next part of this video, you're going to see a picture of where Greece is located. Wow, Greece looks incredible. It looks like a place I'd want to go for a visit or for a vacation. So Greece was the original home of the Olympics. So back thousands of years ago, they used to compete against each other in these Olympic sports. All right, so let's continue reading. It probably looked a bit different than it does now, though. Now, gymnasts compete against each other in different events. These events help them show their strength, skill, and flexibility. Here are some events that gymnasts compete in. And our first one is the vault. Now, if we take a look at the picture, it looks amazing. I'm seeing this person flying through the air. I don't think that I could do that. So let's go ahead and read. In this event, gymnasts start by running. They jump onto a springboard and spring onto the vault with their hands. They push off the vault into the air. Often they do flips and twists in the air. Finally, they land on their feet. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. If I ever tried that, there is a strong possibility that I am not landing on my feet. Now, I know a lot of you will probably laugh at just the thought of me trying the vault here. All right, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. The next event is called the floor. I wonder where we do that event. There's the picture again. In this event, gymnasts perform on a large open floor. The floor has springs or foam underneath it for support. The gymnast can do jumps, flips, and tumbling on the floor. Now, that's one that I really love watching on TV. When you think of gymnastics, or when I think of gymnastics, I think of the people running across the floor, doing flips, doing somersaults. It's amazing to watch. Can I do any of that? I might be able to do the running part, but as far as the jumps and the flips, there's probably no way I can do that. And the final event that we're going to be talking about is the balance beam. Now, only female gymnasts compete on the balance beam. The beam is long and thin, and it's raised 4 feet in the air. Gymnasts leap, turn, and dance on it. They do flips and tricks too, all the while trying not to fall off. Once again, it sounds like an event that needs a lot of balance, strength, flexibility, and talent to do. I wonder if there's anyone out there that can do that. I'm sure there is. So now that we're done reading the story, I have a couple questions for you before you answer the questions on readworks.org. Question 1, what skills do you need to become a gymnast? Now, I think I know the answers because I read the story, but what do you think? What skills do you need to become a gymnast? Question number 2, what exercises can we practice to be better? Now, better at gymnastics or better at any sport. What are some of the exercises that we can do to increase our skills as an athlete or a gymnast? Question number 3, how can gymnastics help us with other sports? Now, I'm sure there's some football players out there and some basketball players out there that don't think that gymnastics can help them out. Think about it. I think if you go back and reread the story and you learn about some of the skills that you need to become a gymnast, there's some of the same skills that you're going to need to become a football player or a basketball player. And the last question I have is going to take a little bit of research. You can find this information on study jams or other sites. How does the muscular system work? We mentioned a lot about strength and a lot about flexibility. How do we use the muscular system when we're dealing with gymnastics as well as other sports? Okay? So now that you've answered all my questions, you can go ahead and do, at the end of this video, go ahead and do the questions on readworks.org. Now, if you need to go back in the story, go back into the story. If you need to rewatch the video if it helps. The next part of this video, we're going to be talking a little math. All right? So stay tuned for that. And if you're hitting pause right now, good luck on the questions. I know you can do your best. So yesterday in math, we talked about standard measurement. Now, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, go back and watch that. We talked about the measurement of a cricket pitch, which is also a cricket field. We learned about 4 units of measurement. We learned about the inch, the foot, the yard or yard, and the mile. Today we're going to review a little bit about those. So, quick review time. Question number 1, what are some things that we would measure in inches? I'll give you 3 choices. Can we measure the distance between High Point and Greensboro? Or can we use the inch to measure the distance of a football field? Or the length of a flower? If you said the length or the height of the flower, you are correct. I wanted to show you real quick that our plants in our garden are starting to really grow. Now, what tool would I use to measure these? You're right. I would use a ruler and I would use the measurement of the inch. So what are some other things that we would use the inch for? Well, if I was measuring the length of a pencil, or maybe the length of my hand, or if I go to the doctors and they measure, they go from my foot to the top of my head and they say, okay, you're 70 inches tall. But honestly, I don't go up to people when they ask how tall I am and tell them 70 inches. What measurement do I use then? If you said foot, you're correct. We usually measure ourselves in feet. Now I am 5 feet and then another 9 inches or 10 inches after that. So when we all put it all together, I'll say I'm 5'10". Okay? How tall are you? We gotta count the feet and the accompanying inches as well. After feet, we have yards. Now, a yard, if you remember from yesterday's video, is 3 feet. And when I think of things that we measure in yards, I think of football fields. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. If you're a football player out there, you know what a yard is. You know how much a yard is. That is 3 feet. Now, a football field as a whole is 100 yards. All right? So how many feet would that be? How do we figure this out? Well, we would take the 100 yards and multiply it by 3. Can anyone tell me what 100 times 3 is? If you said 300, good job. A football field is 300 feet long. That's a long ways. Now, earlier on in the video, we talked about the country of Greece. Now, Greece is in Europe. It's along the Mediterranean Sea, and it's a place that I would love to visit one day. If I were to measure the distance from Greensboro, North Carolina to Greece, would I use inches? Probably not. Would I use feet? No. Would I use yards? No, we wouldn't use yards either. We would use miles. Now, yesterday I asked for the challenge questions at the end of the video for you to tell me how many feet and yards are in a mile. How many of you actually went out and researched that? Go ahead and do that now. Or wait another 5 seconds and I can tell you in the video. So did you figure it out yet? Well, if you didn't, that's okay. I'm going to tell you in a second or two. If you did, then your numbers should match up with what I'm about to tell you. There are 5,280 feet, which is the plural form of foot. 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So that would be 5,280 rulers, one after another. That would equal 1 mile. As far as yards go, there's 1,760 yards in a mile. Now, how did I figure that out? Well, I just divided 5,280 by Well, how many feet are in a yard? 3. So if we're talking the distance between here in Greensboro and, so let's say, Athens, Greece, we would not use inches. We wouldn't definitely not use feet, and we wouldn't use yards. We would definitely use miles. It is the largest unit of measurement that we have. So the question I have for you tonight, and I'd love to hear your answers via Class Dojo, is how many miles is it from Greensboro, North Carolina to Athens, Greece, the home of the Olympics? I'd love to hear your answers. All right. Have a great Wednesday, everybody, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Miss you guys.